Hi, I'm EllaAradia and welcome to your Psychic Tarot Love Reading. This reading is for my Taurus, Virgo and Capricorn Earth signs. The timestamps are below, where we'll be taking a deeper dive into your person's hidden feelings for you. This is a love reading and it's for those of you who are already connected with someone. Even if you are currently in no contact with your person, this will be a very specific message. So it may not resonate for all of you. If it feels right, then it's meant for you. Otherwise, you may want to check out the readings for your other placements. So Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus. And before we jump in, a big thank you to all of you who are supporting my channel by liking and subscribing. So if you enjoy this reading and you haven't already done that, please do. It helps the channel out a lot. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and then you can get notified when the next videos are up. So Taurus, let's jump in. So I always like to start by just tuning into the energy as Taurus before I start pulling any cards. I'm a psychic reader, so I always like to see what the universe shows me. I feel like there's some struggles here with the person that you're dealing with around things going to a next level. You know, there's something here that I'm picking up on around trust and feeling, able to be, vulnerable enough to be really seen. And it could be you, it could be the person that you're dealing with. Because I see one person who's kind of struggling here to really open up to something more, to take things to the next level. And another person who's kind of holding that space of trust and safety and security. But one person here is, I feel, struggling to get through some barriers around kind of opening up and really trusting this. So with your overall energies, we have the Eight of Pentacles. Very much an energy of putting the work in, investing, and doing that with a view to the long term. And, it's also about that willingness to show up and really work on things. Your person's view of you, the Knight of Wands. Their feelings towards you, the Three of Wands. Their intentions, the World. That's exactly what I've just said. And, this is what I'm feeling like. I feel like they're seeing you as a little bit held back right now, Taurus. And that was actually what I was seeing when I was tuning in at the beginning there. I was just seeing somebody who, was a little bit stepped back. A little bit of a challenge around trusting. Is this really real? Is this really genuine? Almost this feeling of perhaps not trusting your choices and decisions because of experiences from the past is what I'm getting. I just keep hearing the words, maybe I'm not the best judge of character. And I do feel like there's going to be something here around, really seeing things clearly, seeing the truth of a situation and really differentiating between, is this person really the same as the people that you have had in your life in the past? Or is this something different? Because sometimes we can tell ourselves that old story, can't we? And, it avoids us perhaps having to, face a fear or an insecurity. It's easier to tell the old story. And that's the thing that I feel that you're needing to kind of really discern here. Is this the reality of, what is actually happening here with this person? So, with the Knight of Wands, this is often known as the player of the tarot, but it's also someone, that has a lot of passion, but they may not perhaps have that emotional depth for something, you know, more long-term and committed. Doesn't mean you're not an emotionally deep person. In this reading, you know, what I'm feeling this is actually meaning is they're seeing you as a little bit pulled back. You know, there's a little bit of a guard around your feelings here and connecting, you know, connecting in a deeper way, because with their feelings towards you, this is about potential and possibility. And, you know, this is very much the energy of someone moving out of their comfort zone. It's about growth and expansion. And, you know, I feel like you've got someone here who's really wanting to put that work in with the Eight of Pentacles as well. And someone who sees what this could be with you. Because with the world as their intentions, this is someone who's wanting to take things to the next level here, Taurus. You know, the world is often, you know, about endings, beginnings. It's about a completion usually, but it's also that kind of next level energy where it's time for an upgrade. It's time to take things to the next level. I feel like they are waiting on this for you, from you. And it could be, let's say, you know, kind of a make or break point in the connection here, because I do feel like you're dealing with someone who, you know, they see the potential here. I feel like this person's heart's really in it with you, and they are wanting to progress things and take things to that next level, you know, whether that is putting a title on it, you know, whatever that is for you, moving in together. That could be, for some of you, even a marriage proposal or something like that. This is someone here who is seeing, you know, what this could be. And I feel like they're looking at you and seeing you with a lot of the qualities that they really want, you know, from a life partner. But at the same time, the energy I'm picking up from this is it feels like a make or break. You know, they are not going to kind of hang in there forever and ever waiting. And they definitely, I feel, are, you know, feeling that you are a little bit guarded, a little bit held back from, you know, perhaps going to that next step. With your feelings towards the situation is the Hermit. And I love that that's the card we're getting for that, because this is about going within and looking for answers here, Taurus. It's about connecting to your inner wisdom. So the Hermit's a very, you know, well-traveled soul. This is someone with a lot of life experience, which I feel that you've had. I feel like you've had a lot of, you know, disappointments and letdowns in the past. And of course, that's created a little bit of a guard around your heart. And there's a little bit of a challenge here, I feel, to open up and trust this. And so you're being asked to kind of go within and connect to that inner wisdom. Like what I talked about at the beginning, it's about working out, is this the same thing that has gone before? You know, or is this actually something different? And what I'm really scared of is opening up. What I'm really scared of is opening up my heart and trusting someone again. And, you know, this is the thing. So it might be a moment here to just take a pause and really connect to what your heart's saying in the challenge. I mean, you have to be very honest with what your heart's saying as well, because sometimes we know things, you know, we feel things, we have that inner knowing, and, you know, our heart's always speaking to us, but sometimes we don't always want to listen. In the challenge is the Two of Swords, and this is this kind of stuck energy where sometimes we can be holding, you know, two different ideas, two opposing beliefs, to avoid, you know, something that might feel a little bit uncomfortable. A decision that needs to be made, something you're not seeing, something that you're not wanting to face, a decision that perhaps you know you need to make, but you're feeling stuck. And the invitation here is to take off the blindfold, because what really wants to be heard here, Taurus, is your heart. And that's the invitation. You know, the answers you're looking for, they are already inside of you. And You know, no connection is perfect. No one is perfect. And, you know, there will always be challenges moving forwards, but I feel like you're dealing with someone who is able to, you know, with this Three of Wands, be accountable and really own their issues and communicate and put that work in, make that commitment to, you know, really learn and grow and evolve together. That's what I'm feeling. And the invitation here now is for you to take some steps towards that. The hidden influence, I love that. The Hierophant, this is a card of commitment. And what we're looking at here is a person that you can really build those strong foundations with, because in a love reading, the Hierophant is all about the kind of connections that are built on, you know, strong foundations, shared values, shared beliefs. And this is the kind of connection here which can really stand the test of time. So in your advice, we have the Page of Swords. It might be a moment to maybe look at things a little bit differently. You know, swords are very often related to our thoughts, information. Sometimes it's when we're gathering information, we're wanting to get all of the facts, see things clearly, you know, before we make a decision. But it might be also about looking at things, you know, through a different perspective with fresh eyes and just being open to that. And I feel like that's the thing, you know, it's about it being possible for you to be willing to perhaps trust. It's possible. That's the first step, knowing that it could be possible. In your outcome, we have the King of Wands. And, you know, this is an energy of, I feel, just really going after what you want. And, you know, this is someone who is following their passion, their inspiration. And feels like this is, you know, the person that you're dealing with here. And this can be male or female. This feels like a very fun, you know, charismatic person. And this is someone who, you know, goes in straight lines. They go after what they want. They don't wait for permission. They know what they want and they move towards it. And that's the person that I feel you're dealing with. I feel like this is someone that, you know, really does see a future here with you. So let's get your person's hidden message for you. So the hidden message is more for those of you that might be in, you know, some kind of no contact situation. So Taurus. We need to let each other go. That's what I mean. I feel like this is some kind of make or break time. I bury myself in work to forget you. You and I were too young. And I always feel like that speaks of, you know, stage in life, you know, being on the same page, but more so, you know, stage in life. So it doesn't necessarily mean that's the end. But somebody, I feel, does need to perhaps take a little bit of a leap of faith here. I feel you leaving me behind. I knew exactly what I was doing. So Taurus, I'm going to leave that there. We are going to move on to Virgo. Hi, Virgo. So let me just do a couple more shuffles here. Virgo, one more. I always know when the deck's ready because the cards just start to kind of come out. Okay, so Virgo, let's jump in. So I always like to feel into the energies, Virgo, before I start pulling any cards. I'm a psychic reader, so I always like to see what the universe shows me. I feel like the person that you're dealing with, there's a really strong feeling here of feeling let down in some way. Someone is not stepping up. They are not stepping up, is what I'm feeling here. And I'm feeling, you know, a bit of sadness and heartbreak. A big question here, I feel, around, are you on the same page? Because I'm feeling a player energy here. And on your side, Virgo, I feel like you are wanting a long-term committed connection with this person. And it's almost like they've kind of got you on hold somehow. It's like they're there, they're doing enough, but it's a little bit of what feels to me like a breadcrumbing energy. What lies in the overall energy is the Knight of Pentacles, very slow-moving energy. Sometimes that can represent somebody in a love reading who knows what they are meant to be doing, knows they need to step up, but they're going very slowly, and that's what I'm feeling here. I feel like you're dealing with someone who deep down inside, I do feel like their soul feels some kind of, you know, knowing that, you know, this could be something significant with you. But to embrace it, it feels like they've got to get through a lot of walls and barriers to me. You know, they're still kind of carrying, I feel, some wounds from the past. Betrayal is the word that I see, some past hurts, where, you know what I'm hearing, and it's something that always really bothers me, you know, when, but particularly, well, it could be male or female, but very often you hear people saying, oh, I don't want the drama of a relationship. And I always kind of think of that as, it's not drama. You know, it's two people that are in a connection, and at some point issues come up, and that's just life. That's just the way things are when you've got two people in a connection. And you may be dealing with someone here who really struggles to, you know, look at their issues and take accountability. And that's their protection. Their view of you is the High Priestess. This is the energy of somebody holding back. That could be them. That could also be you. You know, you might have taken a little bit of a step back here just to, I feel, look after your heart a little bit in this. Their feelings towards you, the Six of Wands. Their intentions, the Six of Pentacles. Now, what I'm feeling from this card, you know, it's their feelings towards you, but to me, this feels like them. And I feel like this is someone, you're dealing with someone here who's getting a lot of attention, because that's why I feel this player energy, and their intentions towards you is the Three of Pentacles. And when I feel into the energies of this, that feels like a third party energy. And if that's not something that's going on, you know, you might be dealing with someone here who's not really ready to settle down. They might have said all the right things to you, done enough to kind of keep you there somehow, keep you on hold. I keep hearing that. But they're keeping their options open. That's what I'm feeling. You know, the Six of Pentacles, you know, it's often the energy of, like on the card, the figure is giving to two different people. And I do feel this energy around the person that you're connected with right now. Even if, you know, it started off great and you saw this amazing potential with this person, I feel like there's some lessons in, you know, really staying true to you here, really standing in your worth. Not settling for less. And, you know, with the High Priestess there, I just get drawn back to that. That could also be a message for you here, Virgo, to trust what your intuition is telling you here. Because to me, it's this energy of getting a sense or having a knowing that there's something going on here. You know, you might not be able to, you know, prove it, but you're feeling it. And your intuition, I feel, is one of your greatest gifts. And I feel like it's trying to tell you something here. And, you know, it doesn't necessarily make anybody like a terrible person or anything like that. But I feel like there's something going on behind the scenes here where there's either a third party energy, or this is someone who's keeping their options open because they're not really being honest with you, but at the same time, they don't want to lose you, because there is that resonance in their soul of, you know, there's an invitation here for something healthy, something real. But to embrace it, they've got to get past their wounds from the past. And I feel like you're dealing with someone who has, you know, not fully healed from that. And I'm not sure they're even kind of willing or able at this point in time to really do that. And that's a tough one. You know, so all of this, these behaviors and keeping their options open, entertaining conversations or chatting online to people, whatever that is, you know, it's all kind of a protection. It's almost an energy of sabotage as well. You know, because what they're doing by, you know, doing all of that is sabotaging the connection, because deep down there's a fear to open their heart. Maybe they'll get their heart broken again. They haven't healed from their past wounds and traumas. Your feelings towards this person, the Four of Cups, you may be in no contact. You know, this might be your person who is just kind of sitting there a little bit closed off and shut down. It may be that you have, you know, spoken a few truths, voiced a few things around, you know, their behavior, shone a little bit of a spotlight on it. And also kind of, you know, put it there in terms of, you know, what you're really wanting and what your needs are. And this may be, you know, what this Six of Wands also represents for you. You honoring all of that in yourself and acknowledging, you know, what you're really wanting here and what you deserve. And, you know, this can be the person that you're dealing with just kind of closed off. You might be, this is what you're putting on the table. This is what is on offer, a cup of love, a healthy love. And they are just kind of, you know, closed off, shut down and ignoring it. So you may be in no contact. In the challenge is the Tower. So, you know, things get to a certain point, and I think sometimes when we haven't really taken an action, even though we know something kind of feels off, the universe brings in a tower moment, and it's usually something breaking down that was built on false foundations, you know, something which needs to break down because it's not really working. And the invitation here is to either just let it crumble and allow things to complete themselves because it is something that it's over and done with. But also an invitation to put things back together in a better way. And whether that's, you know, you on your own for a bit or whether that's with this person, I'm not really sure. But it is to, I feel, you know, try not to cling to the past here with that Tower in the challenge. Try not to hold on to something which isn't working, because ultimately, unless there's some kind of significant shift here with your person, you're going to get to these Tower moments again and again and again. You know, because you're not getting what you're really wanting, needing and deserving from this. So try to embrace what is kind of crumbling right now, because the Tower always clears the way for something better, for truth and something that's more aligned for you. In the hidden influence, the Three of Cups, that's why I feel like it's a third party energy. We've got the Six of Pentacles, where the person you're dealing with is giving to two people. And now the Three of Cups, where there are three cups of love in the image. So I do feel, you know, the hidden influence is something that is, or let's say somebody that is impacting the connection that you may not be fully aware of. So I would say, you know, really trust your gut on this one, Virgo. Your advice from the universe, the Queen of Wands, this is an invitation to really take your power back, stand in your power. And I feel remember who you truly are and what you deserve. This is a very powerful energy. And the invitation here, I feel, is not settling for less. The Queen of Wands doesn't settle for less than she deserves. Male or female, doesn't matter. It's about, I feel, you really honoring what you want in love and not being afraid to let go of, somebody who is really not showing up in the way that you need, because it's also about, how you're being treated and all of this. And, you are worth so much more. And that's the lesson. Don't be afraid to let things go. And what lies in the outcome here is the Five of Pentacles. It's often the energy of somebody moving on. This could be your person. This could be you. I feel like this is more you though, Virgo. And hidden in the Five of Pentacles is always these lessons of knowing your worth and your value moving forwards. And just remember, male or female, the Queen of Wands always has options, and, there will be somebody new out there for you that will treat you like a queen, definitely. So just remember that moving forward. So let's just get your person's hidden message for you. So it's more for those of you that are in some kind of no contact situation. And just do one more. So Virgo, because I do feel some of you are dealing with someone who's a little bit shut down, closed off. I can't stop thinking about you. I left before you could leave me. And that's that closed off energy, someone that's sabotaging things because, they're afraid to really open up and run the risk of being hurt. And those are the wounds that they haven't healed from yet. I am not available. We will be together again. That's going to resonate for some of you in this situation. I know I messed up everything. So Virgo, I'm going to leave that there. We are going to move on to Capricorn. Hi, Capricorn. Let me just do a couple more shuffles here. Capricorn, one more. I always know when the deck's ready because all the cards start jumping out. Okay. Capricorn, let's jump in. Okay, so I always like to tune into the energies first, Capricorn, before I start pulling any cards. I'm a psychic reader, so I always like to see what the universe shows me. Feeling a bit of heartbreak here, Capricorn. I'm really seeing your heart in this and feeling very wounded. I feel like you are in some kind of separation from this person because I see distance between you. And I feel like you're dealing with someone who, to me, doesn't feel available somehow. And it feels like there's distance there. And it may be for some of you that this person is with somebody else. It's not going to resonate for all of you, but you may be dealing with someone who is, still in a marriage or separated, but they're not fully kind of single and available to pursue, let's say. Overall energies is the Hermit. I feel like that's you, and I feel like you're feeling very alone at the moment. And, whatever has gone on here, it has brought you into those energies of the Hermit where you don't have the answers. You're not really understanding why things are the way they are. And of course, that the next thing is to go within for answers. So I feel like you're going within right now. You're looking for answers. The Hermit is a a very well-traveled soul. I always say this. And this is someone who has had a lot of life experience, a lot of soul lessons learned, and a lot of wisdom that you have gained, you know, from those experiences. And it really is about, I feel, tapping into that inner wisdom right now, because your heart always has the answers. And it's about using this to really guide your next steps forwards. I keep seeing the word, you know, legalities. You might be dealing with someone that is, you know, caught up in perhaps, say, a divorce. They might be married, wanting to get out of that, but they're not able to. There's something unavailable about this person. And I feel like you had a lot of hopes for the future with them. Their view of you is the Five of Wands, an energy of conflict. Sometimes that conflict can be inside of ourselves. Sometimes that can be a conflict that's happening around us. And sometimes that can represent many people competing for one person. Their feelings towards you, the Nine of Cups. Their intentions, the Nine of Wands. Let's just get your feelings. Your feelings is the Ten of Cups. That's what I was getting, that this is someone that, you know, you really saw a future with here. You know, you saw this person as your person, life partner. You know, the Ten of Cups is, you know, these wishes granted, the happily ever after card, the potential. But very often it's rarely that. You know, especially when you see kind of challenging cards there as well, like this Five of Wands, conflict, competition, and their feelings towards you is the Nine of Cups. That's one step away from that Ten of Cups. So there's something holding this person back. You know, like the figure on the card, they're open, but they're also a bit closed at the same time. And when I feel into the energies of this card, I feel like there's some kind of challenge which is holding this person back. And they're a little bit guarded. And with their intentions towards you, the Nine of Wands. So this is someone that you may have history with. And this is also someone who looks like they have been through a lot here. And the two of you may have been through a lot. This might be somebody that you've had something with in the past. They may have gone off and explored a different path in life. But you still see them as, you know, your person for the long term here. That's what I'm feeling, Capricorn. And I feel like it's been a very challenging time, with a lot of sadness and hurt and disappointments, this energy of kind of feeling let down, not feeling chosen somehow, dealing with someone who's not fully available, but, you know, seems to be, I feel, really struggling to get out of their situation. You know, this is someone who, you know, is absolutely exhausted from, you know, what has kind of gone down in the past. But they're still standing, they're still there, but there's something holding this person back. In the challenge, we have the Three of Wands. Some of you may be at a distance here. You know, there's a body of water in this card. You could be in different parts of the world. And the challenge is, for some of you, that distance here. That can happen sometimes, you know, with these long distance connections where it's just logistically, you know, too difficult to make it work, especially when somebody has, you know, very strong ties or obligations to where they are right now. There could be family involved. It could be career related, where they're feeling like, you know, they see this potential, but there is this body of water between you, and it's just too difficult to overcome. That's what I'm feeling here. This is often an energy of, also somebody moving out of their comfort zone, seeing that potential, but the challenge is, working through, fears and insecurities. But what I'm feeling this reading is, this might be some kind of, long distance connection. They may have chosen someone, where they are now, because it's just, they wanted someone there, they wanted to come home to someone at the end of the day. And so they've chosen a different person. And I feel like you're still there, with this dream of, what it could still be with this person here. That's a tough situation. What lies in the hidden influence is the King of Pentacles. And that hidden influence can be, somebody that has family, this third party energy, let's call it, can also be another person. It can be career, it can be anything which is impacting the connection in some way. For some of you though, this might be somebody new coming in, and somebody who can really give you not just this 10 of Cups, that emotional happiness and fulfillment, but actually create this container of safety, security, somebody who really wants to invest in you and look after you, someone who can make that commitment. In your guidance is the Seven of Pentacles, which is a moment of a pause to really take stock and really look at, what you have here. A moment of a pause to really reevaluate things. And I feel like this is about, I think, just accepting things that the way they are in this moment. Sometimes we can get really kind of hooked into the dream, the potential of something. And the reality of the situation can be very different. And so you are being asked, I feel, to really look at all of this, Capricorn, and reevaluate things. Because sometimes, when we're still hanging on to something where the reality is very different from that 10 of Cups, it might actually be blocking you, from perhaps a new person coming in for you, which is this King of Pentacles. Might be affecting your career life as well, and sometimes when our heart's not feeling kind of happy and clear, it can affect our ability to, really manifest things, in terms of life goals and career and security and financial abundance and things like that. So just be aware of that moving forwards as well. But this could also be a person, and if we get too caught up in the past, and if we kind of get too stuck there for too long, it can actually sometimes block somebody new coming in for you. In your outcome, we have the Seven of Cups. This is a card of option, potential. And I feel like that's you. And I feel like it's a moment to remember that you have options, you have potentials. And the clouded judgment here, the clouds represent clouded judgment. So again, I feel that's just a little bit of an invitation to make sure you're really seeing things clearly, because, each cup has something different. One of the cups even has something in it here which isn't even real. And that's the thing. Make sure you're seeing things clearly. And along with that, just remember there's more out there for you. You have options, you have potential, you have possibilities. And just make sure you're not getting stuck in the past here to the point where, it might actually be blocking, a new person coming in for you, Capricorn. So let's just get your person's hidden message. So the hidden message is more for those of you who are in some kind of no contact situation here. So Capricorn. Finding out the truth crushed me. That might be you, Capricorn. I will wait for a sign from you. Again, I feel like that's you. I know I was a distraction from your pain. I hope that you can forgive me one day. You were the best thing in my life. So Capricorn, I'm going to leave that there. If this reading resonated, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, no matter what comes through in a reading, moving forwards, always trust what feels right for you. So thanks so much for being here, and I wish you a great month ahead.